Hi. You know, it is kind of like bright lights here. 1939 seems to be a theme year here. 1939, my mom and her parents flee Eastern Europe to come to America and escape the Nazis. In those days, and this still could be true, I don't know, you had to be sponsored by somebody here in the States to vouch for you so you wouldn't become a burden on the state. And my great aunt, who had come over years before and lived in New York City, sponsored them. They got the last boat that made it across the Atlantic without being forced to turn back. It was stopped by the Nazis. All the Jews were taken off except for them, for which we do not know, but we are very grateful. About 60 members of my family, who've been very, even though they're not here, very present in my world, were killed at Auschwitz. One was sent before everything broke out to London for safekeeping. One went to Israel, which was then called Palestine, before everything broke out. Another escaped Auschwitz and went through the forest and ended up in Australia. And a cousin of my mom's was liberated at the end of the war. In turn, my mom and dad brought her cousin and his family over to this country. From a very early age, like literally from birth, it was made clear to me that while I would not be alive if it were not for America, my world, the world, was much bigger than the United States. And my world and my family was a network, which was all over the world. And as we all grew, my network became broader, deeper, and more diverse. Now, I was raised on the ocean in New Jersey. I used to say I was raised on the Jersey Shore, but I can't say that anymore because of that show that, thank God, I've never seen. And I don't live anywhere near that stuff. Growing up, on Tuesdays, the museums in New York City were free. So every Tuesday, my mom took my sister and me, or me and my sister. I've not been good on that English part. English was my mother's 7th language, and so since she taught us how to speak, kind of all mixed up there. We did not go to school on Tuesdays, well, the kind that you have to go to and bells ring. We went into the city every Tuesday and went to the MoMA, the Goog, the Met, the Whitney, galleries, you name it. We were also encouraged not to go to school on Fridays too, but. And then we'd go in the evenings for the opera, the ballet, the theater, the symphony, whatever. I was taught that a diversity of thought led you to integrate those different things and create new things. My parents leveraged my insatiable curiosity, which probably was a major pain in the tush for them growing up, but it let me learn how to put things together in new ways. And that was the definition in my home of a well-rounded person. So it makes perfect sense in retrospect that I go to, I know this is like being talked about today, but I go to Brown. So at Brown, I have a terminal, not a computer, for those of you, some of you have no clue what a terminal is. I have a terminal in my room hooked up to the Unix machines in the computer center, which was not typical then, but I was able to kind of finagle things a bit so that I could do my programming in my room and email with my friends from high school. All right, now you guys in this row right here. You are the tech generation. But several of us were surfing the soon-to-be, later-to-be called net before you guys were born and before your parents were married. And I was extremely young when I was in college. So I go to Bell Labs, and one of my first, how many of you know what Bell Labs is? Good, you know, folks, people are not gonna know what Bell Labs is pretty soon. I go to Bell Labs, one of my first jobs is systems engineering to develop messaging applications to run over the network. Turned out to be one of AT&T and Lucent's largest revenue-generating patents. They made a lot of money. I got a plaque. It was the network that also then helped me as I left Bell Labs to start the next step of my career. And it led me to starting my own strategy and consulting business in innovation, strategy innovation. Oh, and you know, I'm going to need the clicker. Hold on. And it also led me to becoming a partner in an early stage venture capital firm, which is very cool. What I didn't realize, though, was, I didn't put this together till then. I went to Bell Labs right out of school because they hired me. This is a good thing. And because I could do what I was passionate about. How does the brain process information? How can we learn more? I could hang out with amazingly famous people like the guys that invented security for Unix, and I could sit across and have lunch with Nobel Prize winners. What I didn't realize till recently was I went to work for a network company. So there's a theme here. That's what brings me to this stage. I am part of a mentoring program up at Brown that pairs up, I always want to say girls, I'm sorry, women in their senior year at Brown with women alumni in business. 2009, my mentee, Sarah, is a mechanical engineer very interested in innovation. I have no clue what's happening in Providence in innovation. So I Google innovation, Providence, and up comes Business Innovation Factory and this guy, Saul Kaplan. So I cold call Saul. He's very gracious, meets with Sarah. I come to BIF 6, and my network has never been the same since. So that's my Twitter network, if you will. I don't know what the right word is for it. Before BIF 6, 2010. After BIF 6, and this past April. All right, now several people say, oh my gosh, what a network. That's not the point. The point is the breadth, the depth, and the diversity of my network. It is a mashup of musicians, artists, students, innovators, professors, business leaders, doctors, moms, dads, you name it. The broader, the deeper, and more diverse your network, the more of an impact you can have on the world, which then makes your network broader, deeper, and more diverse. So, the thing is, as you look at that, the network is not about me. Believe it or not, it's not about you. A network is to be shared for the other. It is about going up to people, meeting them, talking to them, having a conversation, understanding what's in their heart, what's in their soul, what makes them tick, what they're interested in, how maybe if you two talked, you could do something really cool, or if you connected them with someone else, you could do something even cooler. It is not about you. It is about the other. And right now, here at BIF, today and tomorrow, you guys have an amazing opportunity to meet fascinating people. So if you look around this room, you meet people from so many different walks of life. We have students, professors, business, nonprofit, you name it. But it doesn't have to just happen here. It can happen anywhere if you are intentional and you shut up and look. And then you ask questions. I have clients that have created their own BIF-like events. Internally, if they're big, all the different pieces and parts, and with others as well. The point is to take a thou perspective, an other perspective, go out, ask people questions, have conversations. Now, this may all sound really wonderful, and it does. Part of it is putting yourself in situations to have what Saul very often calls random collisions of unusual suspects. In 1939, I don't know what was going on. There must have been some amazing thing right before all hell broke loose. Bell Labs is moving from New York City to New Jersey because they need more space. Frank Jewett is the president of Bell Labs. He takes an integral, active role in designing the new building. He designs it so that people will bump into each other a lot. Because from his little experience, and little I mean time-wise in New York City, this happened. He designs very long hallways, so with labs of chemists, physicists, biologists, all along the same hallway, not stuck in different corners, so that they'll come out of their labs, walk down the hall, and bump into and collide with each other. Sounds familiar, right? Random collisions of unusual suspects. Which I, coming from Bell Labs, which had an acronym book this thick, called Ruckus. Steve Jobs did this decades later with Pixar. You'll hear Tony Hsieh tomorrow, the project in Las Vegas, same concept. So what if you went out and purposely looked at unusual suspects you could collide with? Now, lest I be too altruistic, I do this because, frankly, it's incredibly selfish, okay? I get so totally jazzed about sharing my network. Because of my network and sharing it, I have been able to introduce my clients to people with products, services, technologies, business models that have taken them to the next level, that have let them grow their companies, which creates more jobs, which leads to more cool stuff. The entrepreneurs that I fund and mentor, I'm able to connect to people that can help in their supply chain, become customers, create new markets, and I'm also able to connect my kids. These are the free ones for whom I don't yet have to pay tuition, unlike the one there for whom I will. I can connect them with people that can open doors for them, help them take their ventures to the next level, and very importantly, with whom these students can share their view of the world and their ideas with the old guard that has no clue. And the more you share your network, the more diverse, the broader, and the deeper it becomes. Frankly, it's cool, it's fun, and it is very, very addictive. I have also been the beneficiary of the network in countless ways. Because she's here, I'm going to pick on her for one. I met Whitney Johnson before BIF 7 through Twitter, I think. And then we met at BIF 7, and Whitney decided that I should be blogging on Harvard Business Review, otherwise known as HBR. You don't really say no to Whitney. Because I was blessed with that opportunity, and it's very cool. Earlier this year, this 23-year-old kid, Nabil, who had started this company that has education stuff going alongside of MOOCs, is published in Harvard Business Review in a blog post. 23 years old. Maybe you were 22 at the time. I don't remember. But one of the coolest things for me was earlier this year, Vala Afshar, who's getting mentioned a lot because he rightly should. I met Vala on Twitter. We became friends. He's the chief marketing and customer officer at Enterasys, a network company. And some of their clients are folks like the Eagles, I love saying that, the Patriots, the Celtics, et cetera. Meanwhile, I'm mentoring this young man at Brown, Sidney Kushner, who started a company linking kids with cancer with pro sport athletes to give them a sense of encouragement and excitement and to help them feel like champions when they're going through a horrendous period. January 9th, Sidney is honored center court on the famous parquet floor at TD Garden by the Celtics as one of their heroes among us. How cool is that? A network is worthless if you do not share it. It has led me to the most amazing, incredible people, many of whom are here. So I'm going to challenge you as we break now. That's flashing. Break, time out. As we go out to the break, I'm going to ask you all to go create a ruckus. And do not stop. Thank you.